Good morning and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back or just stopping by while I get ready for the day. I truly enjoy my mornings where I can make my coffee and take my time. I actually prepped sourdough yesterday, so this is me checking to see if the loaf was ready. On Saturdays, I like to clean the kitchen so that I have a fresh start for baking and cooking. This is something I've gotten in the habit of recently this year, last year actually, just to prepare myself so that I have a fresh day and a fresh palate for the rest of the day. This is me checking the sourdough loaf. It shaped well and I was able to score it very well. This is me attempting a score. I usually don't score my bread, but today I was feeling excited about it. I'm jumping right into breakfast while the bread is baking. I decided to make Belgian waffles for my daughter. You see me here wiping her nose. We're both kind of sick right now, so if my voice sounds a little funny, that's why. If you're ever wondering where my daughter is, she is usually right at my feet playing with pots and pans or getting into our kitchen drawers. She loves being in the kitchen with Mama. The cast iron is preheated enough, so I am putting this in the oven at 450 degrees for 35 minutes. I love Belgian waffles, and I decided to get this waffle maker a little bit ago, and I am so happy I did because waffles and pancakes and sourdough French toast is one of our favorite things to have in the morning. Right after breakfast, I jump into cleaning the kitchen. I try to stay on top of the dishes throughout the day. That's just something that I tend to do so I don't have a kitchen full of dishes. It's one of my pet peeves when I go to sleep at night. I like the kitchen to be clean. I would say the kitchen and then laundry is usually how my priorities follow. You see me taking the bread out here. I am usually very careful at taking the bread out. I also didn't mention that after 35 minutes, you are supposed to take the lid off and let it cook for another 8 to 10 minutes in the oven. This loaf turned out so beautifully. I am so happy with how it looks. A house reset is nothing without laundry. I have been very bad over the years at keeping up with laundry. I would have laundry baskets all over the house and would try different methods, but I feel like I have a method or a trick that I have been able to keep up with the laundry better than I ever have, and that's honestly doing little loads every day. If I use Saturday, for example, to catch up, and then throughout the week I use that little load method just to put in even half a load, just doing that and even putting it away or trying to put it away at the end of every day seems to help. Please excuse my closet from before. That was a mess. It's halfway through the day and it is about lunchtime. I was starting to feel hungry and my daughter had a snack maybe about an hour or two ago. So I was going to eat some leftover chicken noodle soup, which you see me here the night before prepping the soup and getting it ready. I love having leftovers in the fridge or even a meal from the night before so I can just grab it, especially on the weekend, because it makes it so much easier for lunchtime. I do tend to use what I have in the fridge whenever I make soups, unless I'm planning for a specific recipe. I wasn't feeling good and neither was my daughter, so I decided to make like a trash can type of chicken noodle soup. I had carrots and I had leftover corn, pasta, The chicken that I pulled out of the fridge was completely frozen, so the only other chicken I had in the house was canned chicken that I was saving for chicken salad, so I decided to use that. Please don't do this. Don't do what I just did there. That was very hot. I was just testing if the noodles and carrots were ready, and they were almost ready. I added in some chicken bouillon just to make it easy. As you saw me do there, I dumped it in and stirred it in, and there you have it, easy chicken noodle soup. It was really, really tasty. I also prepped my sourdough and my sourdough bread the night before. My starter was bubbly and seemed to be active. You'll see me open and cut into the loaf. I think I made a mistake in this process. I think my starter wasn't as active as I thought, which created somewhat of a denser loaf, which I will show you guys. However, the bread was delicious, which I'll get into later, but this is me prepping the bread. This is I believe it's a Hopewell Heights recipe. It's just 3 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon of salt, and the sourdough starter, of course, 1 cup, active, bubbly. It needs to have risen past the starting point of when you fed it. This is me making the shaggy dough step. I do not do normal sourdough instructions. I skip steps here and there. Today it didn't work for me, not because of the step skipping, but because of the sourdough starter. I believe it wasn't risen enough. It wasn't active enough. Overall, I'm pretty sure the bread turned out okay. I think, like I said, it was a little dense, but I still ate it. It was still good. However, I know what I did in terms of making mistakes and what I can do better. Whenever I reset my home, I always check to see if my laundry detergent is full or empty, or if I need to make more, and I definitely needed to make more. I usually do grate a bar of soap, but I was feeling a little lazy today, so I just used the rest of the Castile soap that I had, as well as the Arm & Hammer detergent powder, and I also use water. I used to use borax, but I don't really have an issue with borax. It's just I didn't notice a difference either way if I used it or if I didn't add that ingredient in. So 1 less ingredient to buy with my groceries. Resetting my home is something that I do every Saturday. As I've said before, I work during the week as a nanny, so taking this time to really scrub things down and take the time to clean is really important to me. While my daughter was taking a nap, I decided to use up these bananas and make some muffins. It is one of the recipes that I had in my family cookbook, and it's something that my daughter really enjoys. This recipe is a very simple muffin recipe, and you could easily look up a muffin recipe on Google, but I will try to remember to post it in the bottom description. So, as I said before, resetting my home is important, as I'm sure it is to everybody else, but when it comes to having a freshly reset home with stocked items, stocked snacks, it just makes my week go so much smoother, and I really enjoy the fact that in the beginning of the week, things are prepped and ready to go. Thank you so much for joining me this week with all my recipes and resetting my home. I hope to see you next week, and I hope you have a great, lovely, and joyful week.